Hey guys, Sublord here, back again with another action figure review. Today we'll be taking a look at the Masters of the Universe Origins Cartoon Collection Spykor. And that's Clawful, brought to us by the fine folks over at Mattel. These are of course based off the Filmation interpretations of the characters, and while Spykor is pretty close to his vintage counterpart, Clawful is not. In fact, he doesn't even look like a crab in the Filmation show, which I guess is more evidence that the Filmation show is not all that in a bag of Cheetos, because they couldn't even get the crab character right, on top of the goofball arse writing. Yeah, apparently when they said Clawful's name, somebody thought a dragon with crab hands instead of either just a crab or a dragon, lizard, snake, reptile man with giant claw fingers. So, there's that. But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, why don't we cut right to the chase and get into the meat and taters of this review and take a look, see at all these two have to offer in terms of accessories, starting off with the mini comic, which does come with a little pamphlet in case you're a simpleton and don't know how to take these apart. Then on the back, got the cross cell with Evelyn and Webstore, who we took a look see at yesterday. So, you missed that, check that out. If not, heck with you. I do what I want on this channel. That said, as far as Spykor's accessories, he comes with, of course, he's actually the only one of these two that comes with a weapon. His trident hand, not even extended, just the trident hand. And then he comes with two hand grenades, potion bottles, I don't know, something. Clawful can't hold these, but other characters can, so Webstore, I might display them with those, I might not. And Clawful comes with a cornucopia, just in time for Thanksgiving. No, this is a horn with a little demon skull on it. I thought this thing had like an effect that came out of it, but it doesn't. It's just this hollow piece of plastic, so cool. No club for him, and no club for Spykor. Those are their main weapons, folks, and I'm pretty sure they used them in the Filmation series. I know the Classics versions came with them, the Filmation Classics, not the Classics Classics. But before we get up close and personal with either of these guys, here they are next to Skeletor, the Lord of Destruction himself. Just so you know how they scale next to their Lord and Master, and yeah, pretty much the same size. All the bad guys, except Evelyn, are the same size, so there you go. That said, let's kick things off with Mr. Pricklepuss here. And, yeah, he's pretty spiky. Pretty spiky indeed. Now, I will tell you one thing about his little trident hand, which we will go ahead and swap on, is that when you swap it on, the peg for the trident hand, as you might be able to see, is a little thicker than the wrist peg on the actual hand. So it does stretch out that hole a little bit. That's what she said. And if you want to use the hand, it's going to be a little loose in there. But who's going to display Spykor without his trident? I mean, really. So, there you go. I'm assuming you could give him the Origins club and even the trident attachments if you want. Trident itself hinges up and down, or I guess if you have it this way, side to side, so that's kind of interesting. But as far as his articulation goes, standard Origin stuff, double ball peg in the head, moves around. Always liked the Filmation Spykor face. Always had more of a pig-like nose and whatnot. Shoulders go out to the side, back down, rotates forward and back, and no, this guy and Clawful do not have the strange issue I had with Webstore where I had to loosen up the shoulder port. He does have a single jointed elbow though. That will rotate. He's got a swivel in the wrist, hinge in the wrist. He's got a waist twist. He has the flat belt with no detail on it. His hips will kick forward, back, out, back down. Single jointed knee. Swivel at the knee. Swivel at the boot. He just has the regular He-Man boots, I think, from regular Origins. And then he does have a hinge in the foot with a rocker. So there you go. That's Spykor in a nutshell. Cool figure. I dig him. I think he's really, really sharp. Get it? That said, moving on to hashtag not my Clawful. And for a while, I hated this version of Clawful. I thought it was stupid that he wasn't a crab. He was this weird dragon thing. I know some people prefer the dragon look. You're all phonies. Clawful is a crab, and that's all there is to it. They wanted him to be a crab so bad in this figure, they shortened his snout like halfway down. Like, I have the Mattel Classics version of this Clawful, and his snout's like twice as long as this. So this one actually kind of sort of looks like a crab. If he had more of a shell on the back, I would be okay with it. But because it doesn't, I'm not. But, you know, can't fault the figure for that. That's just the design because Filmation was ran by bozos. But either way, as far as his articulation goes, his head will look up and down, tilt side to side, rotate side to side, and look. I love crapping on Filmation as much as the next guy. I know a lot of you guys like it. Heck, I obviously like it enough to buy these figures, so, you know, take a joke. You're going to be Mr. Butthurt McGee in the comics. Shoulders will go out, back down, rotate forward and back. Single jointed elbow with rotation. His claws actually have the appropriate hinge for holding weapons, but he doesn't have any weapons to hold, so that's a BITCH. He's got a waist twist. Very nice tight waist twist. Hips will kick forward, back, out, down. Hinge at the knee. Swivel at the knee. Swivel at the shin guard. And a hinge in the foot with a rocker joint. I want to say these are the same Demo Man feet, but maybe they're different. Who knows? But there you go. Here's Clawful. In a nutshell, it's Clawful. Very Filmation-y indeed. That's what you wanted. That's what you got. Bringing Spykor back in. I like these two quite a bit. Them and Webstore are probably the best ones from the year. Oh, and Merman. We got him too. Getting all the classics, man. All the hits. Been seeing a lot of reviews pop up of that Merman. Or not Merman. Ram Man. And he's looking pretty good too, along with Mantenna and She-Ra, so we'll have to see how that pans out. But before we wrap this up, bringing our two regulars, the Mythic Legion's Brother Mandibilith, right there, and the infamous K11 Spawn, who, as usual, towers over everyone because he is not a 5.5-inch figure, or in this case, a 6-inch right-on-the-money figure. So, with that being said, it's time now that we wrap things up with some final thoughts. Overall, and aside from being absolutely clubless, and if you watch the TV show, clueless, I have to say that good old Spykor and it's Clawful here are two of the best figures from the cartoon collection brought to us by the fine folks over at Mattel, despite the fact that, once again, I am on Team Crab Man Clawful, not Dragon Man Clawful. I mean, seriously, what were Filmation thinking when they designed this character? When I think of Clawful, I think of crabs, not dragons. At least not crab claws, as far as dragons go. More like shredder claws, or something like that. So, with that being said, hope you guys enjoyed this review. Until next time, I'll catch you guys later.